And we are live, guys. Welcome to the On Track channel, where we talk about what it takes in order for you to achieve everything in life that you desire. And I want to share with you some thoughts about the current situation that we're finding ourselves in when it comes to the world. I want you to achieve all of your dreams, but we're going to go through some very turbulent times, most probably in the next few years. And I want you to be prepared. We're already somewhat at war. Okay? We're free to roam wherever we want to, pretty much. And we still have the ability to work. Most of us have jobs. And things are, turbulent worldwide. I mean, we can sense there's a vibe that, some things aren't quite right. But life goes on. And we keep doing what we're trying to do. And then let's see where it goes from there, right? But let me explain to you the situation um, in relation to the fact that it's been 80 years since we ended World War II. 80 years. Basically one generation, right? Most people are, the people that lived during the war times, most of them have passed on. And there are still some left. But we're going to experience not necessarily that, but a different type of war potentially. Maybe it goes into a more difficult situation than that, but we're already experiencing the war right now. And there are solutions that you can take within your own life to prepare yourself and to improve your situation so that the war is not a negative thing for you. The war in many ways can be a positive for you individually, a horrible thing for the world, but put you in a position where you can help other people. And so I want you to understand what's happening and then find solutions so that you are in a better position in a few years' time than you are today. A better situation. And most people will not be able to say that. Most people are, partying away their lives, which, sometimes that's okay, right? You need to experience life. But these are my suggestions. One, you need to cut your expenses and your lifestyle. In general, not because it's turbulent times, but because that's the right thing to do in the foundational years of your life. The more you increase your lifestyle, okay, it's called lifestyle inflation. Okay, we're going to talk about inflation in a second. If you are improving your lifestyle faster than you're improving your income, you're going to be in a very difficult situation long term. Not just because of the world's situation, but because you put yourself in that situation. A lifestyle inflation means that you are receiving things that you did not deserve and were not worthy of, that you did not pay for in advance. You're living on debt. And the vast majority of society is currently living on debt. This is why it seems like everyone is so rich. There's gonna come a time when that will revert back to the mean. Meaning, people that have poor mindsets, the people that are struggling emotionally and still have money, there's going to be a time when they don't. And if you, at that time, have a fantastic attitude, independent of circumstance, have utility, have skills, have capacity, when everyone is down and under, when everyone is stuck and don't know what to do about it, you will essentially become a leader in your community, in your family, in society at large, because you were prepared. Why? Because of the 80-hour work week. There's been 80 years since the Second World War. The war we're fighting against right now is debasement of your fiat currency. That is the real war that's happening. But does it help for you to, work the 80-hour work week to exchange your time for money continuously? Because as, inflation happens with pretty much, the inflation numbers are not 2 or 3%. Okay, the government has changed the way that they measure inflation so many times that it's probably more likely to be around 10% per year. And you notice that yourself if you go to the store and you see how prices are increasing continuously. And you're beginning to become more and more stingy with your money, right? And this is telltale signs that we're going to head into a situation where it's going to be more difficult. Now, if you did the 80-hour work week despite not really needing it, because you don't really need it right now, you have sufficiency for your means, but it's just becoming a little bit uncomfortable. Just imagine that there might be a time where things become even more uncomfortable. And you want to get ahead of that curve. You want to be able to live uncomfortably right now so that you can live comfortably and more comfortably later. And the way to go about doing that is to make sure that you don't have lifestyle inflation, meaning living better than what you should be doing based on your income. When you do the 80-hour work week, you are literally doubling your income immediately. Normal people, they work 80-hour work week. They work 40 hours a week, 37 and a half in Norway, where I come from, or where I used to be based. While if you do the 80-hour work week, you'd get double. It's pretty freaking crazy. It's pretty freaking awesome. But it's not about the money, although it's fantastic to get the extra change. It's about the mindset that you develop doing the 80-hour work week. Because it's not something that everyone can do. You can do it, but not everyone can do it. And the reason why you can do it is because you've heard this video and you understand the reasons why it's crucial that you do it. So we cut our expenses massively. Why? So that the 80-hour work week can give us a massive buffer. We're not trying to just save 10% of our income, although that's great. We're trying to save 50% of our income if we can. Because every single month that you save 50% of your income and you manage to live on way less than you deserve, then you're going to get to a time where other people and other systems and other businesses that you've invested in will begin to work for you because you've got the financial means that other people don't. And that only comes from the mindset that you developed during the 80-hour work week. And from taking that difference between the cash flow coming into your bank accounts and what you actually spent. It's called pay yourself first. My term for it is GRIP. Growth, reserve fund, indispensables, and party. Party, play, whatever you want to call it. GRIP. If you get a grip of your financials, it will take you to where you want to go. Whether you want to travel the world and see it, right, before crazy times come, or whether you want to simply prepare yourself for the inevitable, the debasement of all fiat currencies worldwide. They're not going to be able to keep those, valuations high. All fiat currencies are going to go to zero. And the reason why they're going to go to zero this time around is because the reserve currency of the world, for the first time in history, because we're more globalized now than ever, is going to go up in smoke. Okay, so that's step number one, is get control over your lifestyle and start spending way less than what you make. The only way to do this is to pay yourself first, meaning you set aside the money that you want to save and invest immediately once you receive your paycheck. Immediately. There's no other ways of going about it. And you set aside 50% or 30% or 20% or 10% or whatever it is that you want to set aside. And we start from where we're at and then we build ourselves upward, right? If you are at zero, okay, 0-hour work week, you can't jump straight to the 80-hour work week. That would be great if it worked. But you need to start at least at 20, right? And then once you do that consistently, and consistently means like 2 or 3 weeks, then you can bump it up to 40. And then you continuously increase it over the next few months. But this one is crucial to first start with pay yourself first, setting aside that amount, because then you become poorer than you actually are temporarily. That's good. That puts you in a very wise, smart situation where you don't continuously, massively, aggressively move forward with consumption and partying and doing good to other people, because that's literally what consumption is that you're giving your hard-earned time and attention and money away to someone else because you don't need it. Very generous of you, but this is not the time right now. That time comes when everyone's struggling. Right now, no one's struggling. I mean, obviously, there's tons of people struggling, but you can understand, compared to what we're going to go through in the future, no one's struggling. Okay? We're starting right now in November. It's going to be 42 million Americans that are going to be struggling because food stamps are not going to be available because of the US government shutdown. Interesting times? Absolutely. So, cut your expenses massively. The way to do it is to save way more than you have capacity to save. Okay? That which leads me to number 2. Number 2 is gold and silver. Okay? Let me see what's up on the live stream. If you want to chat, I'm on here and I'll chat with you. Okay. Next is to save and invest in gold. It's so random and very, well, it's not random, but it's very interesting that people are still measuring gold, Bitcoin in dollar terms. The dollar has lost 95% of its value, if not more, in the past 100 years. Which means that everything is going to go up in price. And so we get into this everything bubble. It's not a bubble, okay? It's never been a bubble. Well, maybe a little bit. But in turn, there's no everything bubble. It's an everything is denominated in dollars situation where the dollar's becoming worthless. So once you wrap your head around that one, you realize that, oh, okay, so the dollar's becoming worthless, so I need to buy things that actually have value. Yes, but be wise about it, because temporarily, right now, you must be a contrarian. And what I mean by contrarian is that most people believe that inflation is happening, so I need to get rid of dollars as fast as possible. I would tell you to actually hold on to a lot of it. And yes, you can invest in things that will appreciate over time naturally because they keep their value while the dollar is losing its value exponentially, which means that the things that keep their value will increase in value, in dollar denominated value, exponentially. This is what's happened to gold over the past couple of months. But temporarily, right now, we're going to have a situation, this is my prediction based on the charts and what I'm looking at, that the dollar is going to have a small, tiny comeback. It might not last very long, but it will have a comeback because a lot of people have a shortage of it. When someone has a shortage of it and everyone's scrambling for getting a hold of dollars, obviously it ceases to become worthless for a specific period of time, right? But when you save and invest your money, what I'm talking about is you temporarily right now, I'm not a financial advisor, so you need to do your own research, but I'm just kind of telling you what I'm doing, is to put half away in dollars or fiat currencies and then half away into precious metals and Bitcoin, and maybe not even Bitcoin. Right now, bro, it's like this is not the time for risky assets. Even though we know Bitcoin's not risky, okay? You might have a very strong conviction about that, but it's a risky asset for the vast majority of institutional players out there. It still is. It's still young. So it might just drop by 30% in the coming months and coming years. It's probably coming months though. So what I recommend is dollar cost averaging. Okay, so you take 50% of your money, boom, you have it in fiat currency temporarily because everyone's running out of money right now. And there's going to be a short blip where everyone's going to be fearful. Everyone's going to think that everything's horrible. And we're going to wonder when the government's going to start massively printing again because everyone's running out of money everywhere. And so we're expecting the government to do that, but the government is only going to do that once we get to extreme pain. The extreme pain has to be experienced. And the reason why is because there's still too many people in the middle class that are holding on to valuable assets. And valuable assets are going to go down in price massively, and people are going to want to get rid of it or have to get rid of it because they have to pay their bills. They've gotten used to a lifestyle that continuously goes, up. You're continuously improving your lifestyle, trying to make your life better by using, the fiat currency that you've got in order for you to pay for it. And temporarily, that's going to, we're going to all be put in a situation where we're all believing that everything is horrible and things are not going to work out. It's, of course, going to work out long term. But temporarily, there needs to be so much pain that people sell off their valuables so that the rich can buy them up. But if you understand that this is what's happening, you will have a situation where you've got emergency funds. At the right time, you can buy up the things that are massively losing value that are hard assets, that are going to massively increase in real value long term because the dollar will begin its descent again in terms of becoming worthless. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We're living in so interesting times. Even people that usually have, predicted so many things, they're, wondering, I don't know what's going to happen first, what's going to happen next, but what we know for sure is that the dollar is going to be exponentially worthless and that hard assets like gold, silver, Bitcoin are going to increase in price, in dollar-denominated pricing. And when something is not desired by the general public, that's when it's cheap. When everyone wants it, it's no longer cheap. It becomes more and more expensive when everyone desires to have some of it. And how much gold can you actually get if there's only 201,000 tons of gold worldwide, including central banks and everyone that's got it? So the end game is to make sure that you're doing the 80-hour work week right now to develop your capacity, to develop your abilities, your utility, and also your attitude independent of circumstance so that you have the know-how and the ability to understand what's going on and can invest at the right times in the right things. But even if you could just take one thing from this video, is to just dollar cost average, meaning every single time you receive your paycheck, you set aside the 50% that I just spoke about, or the 20% or the 10%. You put half of it in cash that you make sure you have at least 6 months. If you have a family, you need a year of funds ready there in fiat currency for when the recession comes. That I believe will happen before we get the massive hyperinflation that's necessary because of the recession or the depression, whatever you want to call it, because it's going to be way worse than what we've seen in the past and in my lifetime and since the World War. And 50% you're going to set aside, and this is what I do. I'm going to set aside 50% towards precious metals and things that I know is massively going to increase in price as the dollar becomes worthless. So it's gold, silver, Bitcoin, Ethereum, land, right? And other commodities that you can have access to. So, this is the war. It's an inflationary war, and we don't know what the enemy is going to do next. And so we get prepared from all sides. But we know what the enemy is, and we know what's going to happen. And we just want to make sure that we're on the right side of history, where we understand this and we do something about it, compared to someone who's completely oblivious and completely ignorant about what's going on. So number 3 is returning back to a gold standard. Because if you think about it, just think about this for a second. If your expenses on a monthly basis are, let's say, $4,000 a month. Okay, I don't know where you live in the world, but let's say that's what your expenses are. You are literally, just imagine that you were paid in gold and silver. Your gold, 1 ounce of gold, every single month that you're giving away. That's insane. Like, I don't know if you've ever held an ounce of gold, but it's you don't want to let go of it. And I mean, the reason why we live in such a technologically advanced situation is because people let go of their gold. Is because people started transacting fast with each other. When there was gold and silver, they were only buying the necessities, right? They weren't massively investing into each other and massively trying to build businesses and such. That's because of debt. That's because of easy money. When you get past that point of easy money, you get to hard money, and suddenly it's like it's a bit harder to let go of. It's like 1 ounce of gold for all of my monthly expenses. Okay. Like, so if all people thought like this, think about it from your employer's perspective. He has to pay 1 ounce of gold to you every single month. That's insane, right? While you receive, you have it now, and then you just give it away. And that's the understanding I want you to have. It's like you can't massively give away your gold on a monthly basis and continuously hope that you're going to get gold the next month, and then the next month, and the next month. They're paying you because they're paying you in worthless dollars or fiat currencies that has no utility once trust erodes. Once trust is gone, fiat currencies as well, no one's going to want them. No one's going to accept them. Well, I'm only going to accept working for gold, silver, or Bitcoin. Suddenly, people start changing their, opinions about things. If you think about measuring things, you want to measure them in gold. Always measure everything in gold. Okay, because that's when you truly know if something is expensive or something is cheap. Right now, everything's expensive. Yeah, in dollar terms. But in Bitcoin and gold terms, you'll actually have noticed that everything has declined in value. Like homes, for example. Because Bitcoin and gold has massively increased in value over the past 5 years, the items right now that you can buy with gold and silver and Bitcoin is like, it's so cheap. Like housing in America, for example, has gone down by 2/3 if you measure it in gold. Gone down. The price is cheap in housing when it comes to gold. And the crazy part is that it's going to become even more cheap because people still don't want gold. You're not allowed, like, no one will accept it. If you came with gold to a shop, the person would be like, I can't accept this as payment. Even if it's 10 times more worth than actual fiat currency. Right? There's no systems in place at shops or at anywhere where people will be like, okay, give me your gold. Even though it's 10 times more worth than what you're buying here, I'll accept it. And, we'll figure it out and sell it at the market. No one's doing that. And so it's still not desired. So we understand that in the future, it's going to massively be desired. And that's when you need to have it. Because if you have it at a time that it's desired, that's when you can buy a lot of stuff. So again, Like gold, silver, Bitcoin is not massively increasing in value. It's the fiat currency that is exponentially decreasing in value. And the 80-hour work week is the key to you gaining the skills, the attitude independent of circumstance, and the ability to not be depressed during the depression. Because that means that you will be continuing to do the 80-hour work week during a time where there's so many poor people that you'll only be able to actually get funding from the rich. There's gonna be rich people, okay? There's tons of people, rich people, who understand this information that I'm giving you right now. They're the ones that I'm following. These are the ones that are warning me. These are the ones that are sharing all this information with me so that I'm like, ah, okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And for many years, people have looked at them as perma bears, which is permanent bears, which means that they just, doom and gloom, everything's going to be horrible. Well, guess what? We're coming into a time where their predictions have actually, been quite on point. So it's not all hunky dory these days in society. And it's kind of obvious to see what's happening, globally with people. People are becoming more entitled. People are not working as hard anymore. People are uh, not trusting their government, right? Well, it's actually politicians that are making themselves untrustworthy. There's so much issues going around the world that we know where this is heading. And it's not like there's a massively honest and integral leader that will take us back to where we need to go. It's not happening. We can't trust politicians to right the ship. It's too late. We've come too far into the debt scenario of the global monetary system that it's going to blow up in everyone's face. And those that are prepared, that are actually buying stuff that will naturally hold its value and become more and more in demand when it's currently not in demand, they're going to be the ones that are on the receiving end and will be the rich people that people will be begging for money, and you will have to decide whether they can work for you or not based on their skill set. So can you imagine how cheap people are going to be in the future because they need to survive and have livelihoods for their families? So, and it's just a supply and demand thing. Tons of skilled people, but they were unaware that they were supposed to not just live it up, they were supposed to prepare themselves for the times that are coming ahead. And they didn't. There's going to be so many of them, but you can use them in your business and you can pay them and help them survive, which they're going to be grateful for at that specific time. But if you're not prepared, you're going to be on the begging side of it, where you're going to be the one who's asking everyone for a job. And do you have a job? Do you have a job? And it's going to be the worst time in history to be asking for a job when everyone is not trusting of each other and everyone's trying to hold the little that they've got, except for the rich. And the rich during that time frame, will they invest in you? They might, but they've got so many other opportunities to invest in because all these things that have lost 50% of their value, they know that they're going to 100x in value in just a few years' time. This is the major wealth transfer of the world that's happening. And yes, you could travel the world because this is a great time to travel the world, I suppose. But while you're at it, learn some skills so that you can develop some income while you're doing it. Because this is where we're at right now. And I can't just tell people to just massively enjoy their life. Because when you grow old, you'll have so many regrets that you didn't do this, that, and the other. Bro, the fastest regret you're gonna have is that you didn't have cash available during the downturns. You must be someone that people are willing and excited to invest in. And the only way to be that type of person is to have gone through lots and lots of experiences, not just watch Netflix for an extended period of time and know all of the shows or whatever happens in that specific story online. You need to know the real world life story, and you need to get ahead of the curve and create a skill set that there's massive demand for. Good morning, brother. And if you do that, if you prepare yourself well, you automatically become somewhat wealthy, right? If you're making $4,000 a month right now and you manage to set aside 50% of it, within 2 months, you're able to buy an ounce of gold. If you want to take it to the next level, you can invest in silver because silver actually will increase faster than gold, right? So it's the poor person's money, right? Gold is what you get when you have tons of money and you need to put it in small, small items, right? Because you have a lot of it. But if you only have a little bit of dollars, you can buy something that's worth $50. And that's what silver is right now. And it's doubled in price over the past 18 months. And it's going to double again. Okay? When that's going to happen, I don't know. I don't give financial advice, like I said before. But it's naturally going to happen long term. And so that's a fantastic play because usually the ratio between gold and silver is 1 to 15. So it's 1 ounce of gold to 15 ounces of silver. Currently, it's above 80. Okay? 1 ounce of gold to 80 ounces of silver. That's not normal, which means that silver is going to outpace gold at least for a period of time. And during that time, if it gets below 50, 40, around there, okay, you massively gained twice as much gold during that time frame as a result of having silver. So I'm helping you to see this because I'm noticing that people are beginning to enter into a phase where it's difficult to get jobs. And that's where you cannot any longer be picky. You need to learn to do the 80-hour work week, and you need to bring value to people around you. As you do that, you now have a chance of doing great things long term and not wasting away 10 years of your life, 5 years of your life during the hard times that could have set you up massively for the future so that you can travel the world and do awesome things. So you can have a family and expand your legacy, etc. Is these few years moving ahead in the past next 5 years that are going to be absolutely crucial. This window of opportunity, which is a great thing. It's awesome. We're living in very, very interesting times, but you'll only find it interesting if you don't act like a victim. And you will be acting like a victim if you're like, oh, I didn't see this coming. How come no one told me? And how come the government is doing this, that, and the other? This is the natural consequence of all of the past experiences that everyone has had that led us naturally to this moment where you are making the best of it. The way to make the best of it is to make sure that you bring in tons of worthless fiat currency into your life and then you save some of it for when there's amazing prices to be bought, but also for, a rainy day so you don't have to sell your gold and silver, so you don't have to sell your Bitcoin, you hold on to it. You hold on to it with your dear life. That's why you have the emergency fund of fiat currencies. So that you don't have to sell. You don't want to be selling at the wrong time when the prices have gone down because temporarily we might go down in price with gold and silver, but we might also not, which means that you need to buy some right now. Potentially. If at least that's what I'm doing, right? So, hope you got tons out of this video. The 80-hour work week is the solution for personal development. It's serving other people. And when you serve other people, you're going to be right on track because they're going to share with you their thoughts about what's going on. But even if you were to actually move ahead and just watch a lot of these types of, news about gold, silver, and Bitcoin, like I'm being aware of because I'm a coach and I need to give this information to my clients, right? But if you were to do that, but you're not bringing in income at the same time, like you're moving away from integrity. Integrity is that you have capacity to work and you work a lot, and then you watch these videos on a daily basis, 30 minutes a day of just kind of understanding what's happening with the world and then massively stacking on the side. And as a result of that, you'll be massively prepared while building skills. And that's the amazing kind of situation. Okay, interesting. So everything is kind of just a loop. Yep, it's a cycle. And currently we're in the cycle where no one cares about gold and silver. And, people have been very appetized for Bitcoin. But I personally believe there's going to be a slight downturn that's going to scare tons of people. And, house prices coming down, gold and silver and Bitcoin prices are going to come down because the markets do the thing that's the most painful for the most participants possible. Why does it do that? That's how the markets work. Because the only way that you win in the markets if you understand ahead of the crowd, and the crowd is going to be the ones that get crushed, and because they'll follow the leader when they're crushed, and the leader will know when to invest in what at the right times, and then the crowd understands what now is the right play, and then they follow the leader if they're investors. There's a lot of people that are not investing at all, and so they have no idea about this stuff, and they just work a job and start complaining about the fact that the prices keep going up, and they keep going up, and they keep going up. No president in the world can do anything about prices. Like, they're stuck between the rock and the hard place. There's nothing they can do about it. The dollar and all other fiat currencies are going to become absolutely worthless because trust is eroding completely. It's no longer there. And that's going to get worse. And that's why we have the trustless systems of holding on to your own money instead of the bank lending it out to someone else. I don't hold any money in the banks. Any money. Only money that I have in the banks is like for this, next week, so that I can pay for groceries and for rent and all that stuff. But none of it else is in the bank. Something to consider, right? Always knew there might be another Great Depression, but I forgot about that theory. Yeah. I'm reminding you. So, hope you guys got tons of value from this. And this is not a time to be sad or depressed or mopey or like, oh my gosh, doomsday. Bro, this is the greatest time to be alive because you get to experience something that is challenging so that you can become stronger, more powerful. Anything that allows you to become more powerful and stronger should be welcomed. But hopefully it doesn't create scenarios that is almost impossible to come back from, right? And that's why it's better to be prepared during those times than sorry, right? So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, which is most probably going to